Well, the start of 2023 is certainly not disappointing. The volatility is still here with most of your well-known stocks declining on the day. Now, AMC performing better than stocks such as Apple, stocks such as Tesla, and a lot of your other higher quality, high flying companies, guys. So that is a positive thing. And now we need to talk about the data that is going on with AMC and what Adam Aaron just said, as well as much more, guys. So let's get into this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Now let's get straight into it, guys. First things first, we're going to talk about what is happening on the day-to-day in the markets, because as you know, when broad market catalysts occur and they're positive or negative and it moves the markets a lot, it also moves AMC a lot. So the biggest thing I would say on the day, besides some of the small economic data that we got earlier, which I didn't think moved the markets all too much, is this report that Apple is cutting their product orders across the chain virtually. Now, it says Apple stock got off to a slow start in 2023 as shares fell on a report that the company has cut MacBook, Apple Watch, and AirPod orders from Asian suppliers. Fiscal first quarter earnings for Apple are due in late January. And this is kind of a problem, right? Just like Tesla selling off today 14% because they barely missed their delivery expectations. Well, when Apple's cutting their orders for all of these products, that means demand's not so good. So the same reason why Tesla's down 13% is this perceived lack of demand that's coming in 2023. Same thing is hitting Apple, and Apple is 7% of the S&P 500. It is 10% of the NASDAQ. So when Apple is down this much, for an example, Apple is 10% of that NASDAQ, it's down 4%. That means either way, if everything was neutral in the NASDAQ, just Apple being down 4% is going to cause the NASDAQ to go down 0.25% at the very minimum, right? Or 0.4%, whatever, in that range, at the very bare minimum. So that's a big problem, and that is causing everything to kind of sell off, because if Apple's experiencing these problems, well, I'm sure a lot of other companies are also experiencing these problems. And I don't believe this is confirmed by Apple itself, but you don't really need it to be when it's something like this. So it's definitely causing a lot of this demand fear for the first trading day of 2023. Now, AMC relative to Apple, well outperforming. If we take a look at AMC, you're down 3.81%. You're not even at a new 52-week low as of right now. Obviously, that could change. AMC is at $3.91.5. The 52-week low is at $3.81. Now, Apple is down 4.18% at the time of recording this video. Apple rarely ever falls over 3%. 4% on this news is kind of extreme, and that's just showing the sentiment of 2023 is not going to be that good until it's confirmed to either not be that good or be better, right? And that's going to be on earnings. So everything, could happen from here until earnings in the end of January, but that's going to be the real catalyst of 2023. It's going to be earnings all year long. So at this point, you almost got to forget about the Fed. You got to forget about a lot of things. Keep in mind the labor market. That's going to be super important. At that, with the Fed, the two combined, we'll just call it that. The two combined are going to be important. You want to see labor market conditions softening. Besides that, it's going to be valuations. It's going to be earnings. And considering a lot of stocks are still super richly valued, Apple is not a cheap stock compared to a Square, compared to an AMC, compared to a lot of other companies. Apple is, relatively speaking, overvalued. So the markets are still going to be dictated by the top stocks. Now with AMC, it doesn't necessarily have to follow those top stocks. So as you see for the day, AMC performing better than an Apple, performing better than a lot of other stocks, guys. So let's get into some of the data behind AMC. But first, before we do that, let's look at this article. It says, amid AMC's stock slump, CEO decries twisted conspiracy theorist. After a tough year for AMC stock, CEO Adam Aron looks to be starting the new year coming out swinging against the trolls and haters on social media. Quote, so much garbage info spreading about AMC by twisted conspiracy theorists, AMC said in a tweet on New Year's Day to his nearly 285,000 followers. Quote, this is important. Our real challenge, among others, the industry-wide domestic box office $11.4 billion in 2019 pre-pandemic, only $7.4 billion in 2022, up 64% above 2021, but 35% below 2019. Our view, it grows in 2023 and 2024, and I think that's a good point because AMC has been able to do a lot, almost be free cash flow positive, when still the box office is 35% smaller than 2019. A big problem with that has been there has not been enough films that have went to theaters to drive people out. It's easy to say, hey, the box office was down. It's still down a lot from 2019. Well, it's harder to put the argument on, well, there hasn't been that many movies that went to theaters. There was literally a handful of them where people actually wanted to go out in big numbers to go see them. So when you get back to a more normal year, in which I think 2023, especially 2024, will be a more normal year, that's going to be a great thing. And if we can continue to see these movies that do go to theaters perform well, I think you'll start to bake in somewhat of this positive view for AMC that at least the box office will come back and AMC will be able to make a profit. And the soaring cost to borrow rates, as well as the short interest, is going to put a lot of pressure on hedge funds as this bull thesis can start to take hold, because unlike Apple, unlike Tesla, they've been at full capacity for years. They've been at peak demand for years. AMC, cruise lines, hotels, stuff like that is not at its peak demand levels to where the whole world's economies are open. China shut down. That's good. Well, kind of, right? From region to region, from day to day, things change. But by and large, their economy is not doing well. They've been shut down for COVID. That's not a good situation. So a lot of your recovery stocks might actually be the ones people start to bet on in 2023 that have not been at full capacity, that have not been at full demand throughout 2023. And I think AMC is a prime example of that. Depending on when China reopens and things go back to normal, COVID goes away, I think that could be a big catalyst for some gains, especially in your travel, leisure, and hospitality kind of companies, in which AMC is in that bill. So there's that information. Now let's get into the actual numbers here, because the live short interest of free float for AMC sitting at 21.43%, live short interest at 110.45 million shares that are sold short. Cost of borrow average 255.8%, cost of borrow max 269.43%, and cost of borrow minimum at 234.63%. Cost to borrow numbers. The cost to borrow numbers as of right now from Interactive Brokers here on the day, sitting at about 111%. This is going to put a lot of pressure on the shorts to get out of those positions, because as you do know, as I've reported to you guys many times, these numbers tend to vary, with the actual percentage that hedge funds are paying for their portfolio. So for an example, if you had a short position you took out last month at a 20% cost of borrow rate, it's not at a 20% cost of borrow rate anymore. It's more like probably 50 to 80%, considering what has happened with the cost of borrow rates since then. So that does put a lot of pressure on that premium you have to pay out for that short position. Hopefully that makes some sense. Now let's talk the option activity here briefly. So you got about 4,700 calls that are in the money and almost 60,000 calls that are out of the money. And we like to go over this every single day because these numbers have updated a lot. You've seen a lot of bullish positioning as far as options on the option chain in the open interest here today. On the put side, 24,000 puts that are in the money and 22,000 puts that are out of the money. So not too much has actually changed on the put side, but the call side has definitely got a little bit more bullish on the day. Now, if we take a look at the positive order value with the actual options today, you've seen 19 orders totaling $2.14 million, positive order value of 7%, excuse me. Well, $2.4 million or $2.14 million is not a lot relative to what we even seen last week, which you seen 145 orders totaling $89 million with a positive order value of 7%. 2.14 million so far on the day. You know, not bad, not good, but obviously not bad. It's not a huge dollar amount of options, bearish options heading into AMC here today. Now, if we do take a look at the actual charts, like I said, we're above the 52-week low, which is a positive thing. If we go ahead and pull up some of the indicators like the MACD and the RSI under 30, it's at 29, so there definitely is some room to see a bounce there, and I do expect to see a bounce there. Whenever you get under 30, you have seen a bounce, and it has been a good opportunity to buy AMC stock after all. Same thing with the MACD. You've been oversold in bearish territory for quite a long amount of time. You are just seeing this low volume though, and I do think if you get that volume spike, it could be pretty good for AMC nonetheless, guys. So there's that. I still stand with my price target. I do think $5 by the end of the week, where this blue line is very possible. If it's not, if the markets just completely crumble, then obviously that's going to be unrealistic to expect AMC to rally, 20-25%. But nonetheless, that looks like my base case scenario since you are in this bottoming formation and you should be able to get this bounce. And today, kind of confirming that to me, because when everything else is kind of crumbling, I mean, look at that S&P 500. It's even down 1.10%, Apple down 4.14%. AMC down less than 4%, I think is a win overall, guys. So that is going to be it for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.